President-elect Trump holding meetings at Trump Tower today as he works to fill his cabinet, including a top post, Secretary of Defense. Over the weekend, Mr. Trump met with retired Marine General James Mattis, who held leadership roles in Iraq and Afghanistan, and with NATO before running U.S. Central Command. Yesterday, after their Saturday meeting, Trump tweeted, quote, General James Maddog Mattis, who's being considered for Secretary of Defense, was very impressive yesterday, a true general's general. Retired four-star General Jack Keane is chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. He's also a Fox News military analyst. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. I know you know the general well. I've been dying to get your impression. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that, Maddog Mattis. Anyway, nicknamed by his troops. Yes, listen, I know Jim Mattis well. This is an absolutely terrific choice if this is the decision that President-elect Trump is going to make, and it looks like he's heading in that direction. Why? He is an experienced wartime commander, as you noted. He is very thoughtful and insightful. He's absolutely conversant, Melissa, with all, I mean all, of the global security challenges that are currently facing the United States. And he knows that the indispensable item that is going to help provide stability and security to the world is strong American leadership. And we have not had that for the last 8 years. And frankly, it's sad to say, that's one of the reasons why the world is a much more dangerous place.
Yeah.
So Mattis understands all of that. And he knows a strong American military to back that up is essential.
Yeah, and he's blunt. I mean, one of the reasons I've read why he got the name Mad Dog is because he's not afraid to speak truth to power. And this was a problem for him before when he was delivering messages, maybe to President Obama, that he didn't want to hear about how things are going. Does that sound right to you?
No, it's absolutely true. He's a straight talker. He speaks his mind clearly. People know exactly where he's coming from. I mean, I'm not talking about somebody who's blustery or bombastic. I'm talking about someone who's thoughtful,
right,
and presents his views in a very firm, unequivocal manner, and is widely respected in the Congress and much respected among the troops out there. And listen, just because we're going to assuming we're going to put a military guy as Secretary of Defense does not mean, therefore, we're more likely to go to war because we have a military man in charge of the Department of Defense. Quite the contrary. Military people, after years of exposure to war, know the horrors of it, the implications of it, always want to make sure, before we use that option, that all other options indeed have been exhausted, and this is what remains. Yeah. That's mostly where senior military people are coming from, and that's where Jim Mattis is becoming. And then, if the decision is made, there is only one answer. Yeah. Fight and win. And fight and win.
In spite of that toughness, he does have that reputation for being very sensitive about putting troops in harm's way. In the meantime, right, I want to move you to our other topic. President Obama speaking briefly with Russian President Vladimir Putin at the APEC summit in Peru over the weekend. I'm sure you read about that. The president urging greater efforts to end the violence in Syria as government forces backed by Russia push to retake rebel-held areas in Aleppo. This is a hopelessly tangled mess, General, where we have, you know, the Syrians, the Russians, and the government there pushing against their own people, Assad against his own people. At the same time, you know, you have ISIS. How do we untangle this, and what do the president's words mean now at this point in time?
Well, it's extraordinary, that narrative that he clings to, that somehow he's working towards a peaceful solution when he squandered so many opportunities to turn the momentum against the Assad regime so we could get a political solution. In 2011, the moderates came to the White House and were seeking arms and assistance. The Obama administration said no. In 2012, Clinton, Petraeus, Dempsey, and Panetta all recommended the same thing in 2012. He refuses. In 2013, when the chemical red line is crossed, this same national security team, except Kerry is now replacing Clinton, recommend military strike against the Assad regime. The purpose is not just retribution for using chemical weapons. The purpose is to change momentum against the regime so we can get a political solution. And he refuses. And he refused in 2014 and 2015 to establish safe zones that would be harbors for this human catastrophe that's taken place. So it is really frustrating when you're conversing with all these decisions, Melissa, and recognize that while we are not the cause of the Civil War, but we have contributed to it being protracted.
Yeah. Certainly made it worse. It's quite a mess to inherit. General, thank you for joining us today. We always appreciate your time.
Good talking to you, Melissa.